is this person who's claiming to be the son of the Father, who can do whatever the Father does and is honored the same way the Father is honored, who raises the dead and judges at the day of judgment, is that person a Muslim but not a believer? Yes or no?
He's not a Muslim.
Thank you.
Whoa,
beautiful.
Jesus in John chapter 5 is not a Muslim.
Truth is love, not hate, a fire that time can break.
Hey everybody, today we're debating whether or not Jesus is a Muslim, and we are starting right now with the yes side, in particular Shuaib. Thanks for being with us. The floor is all yours.
Yeah, thank you. So now the topic is Jesus a Muslim, right? When we go to Quran, for instance, Quran chapter 27, verse 91, Prophet Muhammad himself said, وَأُمِرْتُ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, that I have been commanded to be of the Muslims. Now, what comes into play is people don't understand the notion of what the word Muslim actually means, because people have romanized it into English. So when somebody says this guy is a Muslim, they just think it's a concept of Sunni Shia, and that makes a person a Muslim. That is not the case. It's actually been romanized, which in Arabic means to subject or submit yourself to God. So somebody who submits to God is a Muslim. And then whoever submits to God is part of what do we call the faith called Islam. That is the act of submission. So Quran chapter 27 verse 91 shows us how Muhammad claims to submit, to have been commanded to submit to God. And it didn't start from him. We saw in Quran chapter 2 verse 131, Abraham himself, when God asked him to submit, and he said, I submit to the Lord of the worlds. Now, when you go to James chapter 4 verse 7, as the Christian brothers can actually testify for themselves, it says you should submit yourselves to God and reject the devil, right? So that and the devil will flee from you. Now, submitting or subjecting yourself to God stands in the same instance of what a Muslim is. You submit your will to the one and only God. Now, when you go to Quran chapter 2 verse 133, it says, or were you witnesses when death appeared to Jacob, when he said to his sons, what will you worship after me? They said, we will worship your God and the God of your fathers, Abraham, Ishmael, and Isaac, the one God, for we are submitters to him, right? So submitting to God automatically makes one what we call modern day, we use the word Muslim. But when we say Muslim, it doesn't mean a sectarian Muslim or somebody who follows the hadith concept of Islam. That is not what is a Muslim denote. And again, if we go to Quran chapter 3 verse 64, this is in a simple nutshell. This is what we invite all the people of the book. The messenger was asked to say, oh, people of the book, let's come to equal term between us and you, that we shall not worship except Allah, that is one God. Neither shall we associate anything with him, to say he has partners, he is Trinity, he is this, he is that. No. Nor shall we take each other as lords, because he is the Lord of the universe. It's sufficient for us. So we don't need to take each other as lords. But if they turn away, then say, bear witness that we are submitters, which in actual sense in Arabic, we will say Muslimun, right? So which means Muslims. Now, when we pay attention to how the word had been coined in order to sound like Muslim is an English word, coming back, we have to understand a Muslim is the one who submits to one God, who actually submits his will to God. So he does the will of God. He follows the commandments of God, right? So this believer or this Muslim who submits to God must also submit to the words of God, that is the books of God, and also believe in his messengers, believe in his prophets, and whatever follows. But to take these criteria, these 5 criteria, first of all, I'm going to deal with, which is believe in one God, and also the will of God, the commandments of God, and also believe in his messengers and his prophets. Now, when we take, for instance, Quran chapter 18, verse 110, these messengers, when they come, they tell you, you have to worship one God. Then the will of God, when we take Quran chapter 5, verse 110 to 111, we saw how Jesus submitted his will to God alone, and he does the will of God above. Now, the commandments of God also, Quran chapter 21, verse 27, clearly tells us the messengers do not precede God in word, but they act on his commands. So they follow only the commands of God, which shows they submit to God. which means they are inferior to God. Messengers. Now, as a messenger, we have somebody like Jesus also, who is a messenger of God, submitting to the will of God. So if you go to Quran chapter 61 verse 6 of the Quran, he actually came to the children of Israel as a messenger and prophesied to them about a messenger to come after him. Now, as a prophet, Quran chapter 19 verse 30, he said he is a servant of God and that God has made him a prophet and has given him a book. Now, when you go the concept of one God, for instance, if you go to the Bible, you go to Luke chapter 18 verse 19, where Jesus said unto him, why callest thou me good? None is good save one, that is God. You go to Mark 12, chapter 12, verse 29 to 30, and Jesus answered him, the first of all commandment is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And so goes up to verse 30, it tells you have to devote yourself entirely to God alone, none else. Mark chapter 12 verse 32 likewise tells you there is only one God, there is none but he. Matthew chapter 4 verse 10 likewise, Luke chapter 4 verse 8, and then John chapter 5 verse 37, where he says, and the Father who sent me, he has testified of me. You have neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his form. So Jesus has the testimony of Jesus is what God has actually given him so that he can give to the people, which I can actually see that Jesus is not God, neither is he anything people are claiming that he is God. So that means, which means he submits to a higher authority over him. Now, the will of God, John chapter 5 verse 30 clearly tells us that Jesus said, I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will. So Jesus didn't come to do his own will, but the will of the Father which sent him, right? So John chapter 14 verse 10, he tells us that believers, though not that I am in the Father and the Father in me, the words I speak unto you, I speak not of myself. So Jesus was not speaking his own point of view or opinions, but the Father that dwells in me, he does the works. So he goes again, John chapter 12 verse 49 and 50, he says, I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me commandments, what I should say and what I should speak. So anything Jesus actually have to speak to the people is based on the commandments of God. So we can see the will of God and also the commandments of God. And then we can see also Jesus being a messenger according to John chapter 8 verse 42 and Matthew chapter 15 verse 24. I was not sent but to the lost sheep of Israel. Then Luke chapter 4 verse 43. Likewise, he said unto them, I must preach the kingdom of God to the other cities. Also, therefore, I am sent. Right? And he preached in the synagogue of Galilee. So prophet, as a prophet, he is a prophet of Nazareth. According to John chapter 9, verse 17, he is a prophet. They said he is a prophet. And Matthew chapter 21, verse 11, the multitude said, this is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth. Of Galilee. Then we have Luke chapter 24 verse 19, and he said unto them what things they said unto him concerning Jesus of Nazareth, which was a prophet, mighty indeed, and word before God and all the people. So Luke chapter 4 verse 24, Jesus said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country, just as Jesus was not accepted by his people. So the 5 criteria I gave, which Jesus falls through as a prophet, and then as a messenger, and then somebody who acts on the commandments of God, just as the verses I quoted. And then lastly, then he says, Matthew chapter 5, verse 17 to 18, think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I'm not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So Jesus was only submitting to the will of God above, and that is why we claim he is a Muslim as a Romanized word. But in Arabic, a Muslim means a submitter. So Jesus was only submitting to the will of God, and everything he did wasn't from his own will, but the will of God. So that is the criteria. Mohammed, over to you.
Okay, so to carry on from what peace and blessings to everybody. Carrying on from what my friend said, yes, Muslim, the etymology of the word means one who has submitted his or her will to God. So they follow and do what the will of their Lord, the God of Abraham. Now, I know a lot of people have the understanding in the West that Muslim is conflated with what Sunnism and Shia is. And yes, Jesus was not a Sunni and he was not a Shia, just like how Abraham was not a Sunni or a Shia. Now, the problem is the burden in the West is for us to define what Muslim and who Allah is, because these are words that also came up in the debate earlier. due to the problem of Romanizing the two respective words. This debate would actually not happen in the Middle East among Arabic speakers, because the Arabic speakers will quickly agree that Jesus, yes, he's a submitter, and that he did submit to God. Now, this debate is happening in the West is due to the ignorance and the Romanizing of these words. Now, if you look into Job 22:21, this is where I believe Eliphaz was addressing Job. The verse says, submit to God and be at peace with him. In this way, prosperity will come to you. Now, if you take a look into the Standard Arabic Bible, SAB, the Standard Arabic Bible, in Arabic it says, Aslim lillah wa tasalih ma'ahu ya'tiyaka khayrun. So, and in the Quranic terms, it would be ulaika humul muflihun. So, but what I'm trying to explain is that this verse is apparent in the Quran. And the other thing is the word aslim, which is submit, which comes from the word Muslim. So someone who does aslam or yuslim, someone who, in the past did aslam, he would be called a Muslim. So, and then you see the word lillah, which I think Avery understands this. There's the al, which is the definite article. Because it's submit to God, the alif is dropped. So technically it's aslim li Allah. Just like in the Quran, it says, lillahul hamd. La Allah alhamd, to God is the praise. So you can clearly see the word Muslim and the word Allah in the Arabic Bible. So these are words that already existed prior to Prophet Muhammad and prior to the Quran. Now, I'm going to quote the same verse that my colleague, my friend and colleague quoted, which was John 5:30. I can of my own self do nothing. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of the Father, which has sent me. So it's very clear that Jesus has submitted his will back to God, and he's doing the will of the Lord. Now, I personally don't act on my will, just like how Shu'aib doesn't act on his own will. We are called Muslims. There are pleasures in the world that would be nice to indulge in, but if we do that, then we are removed from the grace, the purity, and the commandments of God. And thus we become deluded. This is the same as Jesus when he was tempted by the devil in the gospel, when he was fasting. But Jesus held into the ropes of God, and he did not delude from the path. Now, after one submits his will to God, for him to become a believer, they must uphold a certain degree and a certain standard for us submitters, or in Arabic, Muslims, to be defined as a believer. And this was defined in the Quran. In chapter 8, verse 2-4, it says, the believers are only those whom, when God is mentioned, their heart are fearful, and when his verses are recited to them, they increase in faith, and they rely on their Lord, the one who establishes the litany, or the prayer, and one from whom what we have provided them, they disperse. Those are the true believers. For them are degrees at their Lords. This statement alone defines Jesus' ministry and the way he conducted himself as an example for the children of Israel on how to be a believer and a submitter to God's will. So essentially, a devout Christian can see that the teachings of what Christ taught in their Muslim counterparts, which logically concludes that Jesus himself conducted and taught, was what the Quran also taught in a mannerism in mannerism and the importance of humbleness. The Christian is recognizing
keep us on around that 12-minute mark. We're probably at about 13 and a half.
That was right around 13.
Are you good there, Muhammad?
So yeah, essentially the main point is that you could see a lot of what Christ taught as what a Muslim is in the Quran. So it concludes that Jesus was teaching how to be a Muslim as he was a Muslim himself, or he's a Sunni.
You got it. We're going to kick it over to David and Avery for their 13-minute opening as well. It's about a split, so it'll be about 6.5 each. Do want to remind you folks, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up in the future. With that, thank you very much, gentlemen. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, James. And I'll probably give Avery a little bit more time than I'm going to take. And thank you again, Mohammed and Shuaib, for having this debate on such an important issue of disagreement between Christians and Muslims. This is actually very, very simple. According to Islam, a Muslim is someone who submits to Allah, but this is supposed to be the Allah of Islam. The Allah of Islam is the Allah that we read about in the Quran. Did Jesus submit to the Allah that we read about in the Quran? There are all kinds of directions we can go with this. We can point out things like the Quran denies Jesus' sacrificial death and resurrection, but Jesus said things like, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many." So Jesus is laying down his life as a ransom for others. That's Mark 10:45. And there are tons of passages on Jesus saying that he's going to die on the cross and rise from the dead. Interestingly, some of them are passages that Shuaib was quoting, where if he just keep reading, he would see all kinds of things that completely contradicts Islam. So Shuaib quotes the Gospels to prove his points, even though the points he's quoting, even though the passages he's quoting thoroughly contradict Islam. So for instance, he quoted Luke 19. If he kept reading to verses 31 to 33, he would see Jesus took the 12 aside and told them, "We are going up to Jerusalem, and everything that is written by the prophets about the Son of Man will be fulfilled. He will be delivered over to the Gentiles. They will mock him, insult him, and spit on him. They will flog him and kill him. On the third day, he will rise again." So I kind of don't know what to do when people keep quoting passages where if you just keep reading it completely destroys the point they're making. So there are tons of places where Jesus contradicts the Quran, and he therefore can't be submitting to the God who revealed the Quran. But I'm just going to focus on one core issue that shows Jesus wasn't a Muslim. According to the Quran, the worst sin anyone can commit is shirk, associating a partner with Allah. Surah 19 says that the universe is about to rip apart when someone says that God has a son. Makes no sense to claim that Jesus was a devout Muslim prophet if he and everyone around him were committing the worst possible sin over and over again like a beating drum. It just doesn't make sense to call Jesus or his followers Muslims. Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. And in Matthew 3, when Jesus comes out of the water, the Spirit of God descends as a dove, and a voice out of the heavens proclaims, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Notice the Father and the Holy Spirit together identify Jesus as the Son of God. Jesus repeatedly identifies himself as the Son of God. At his trial, for instance, in Mark 14, Shuaib was quoting Mark, in Mark 14, the high priest asks Jesus at his trial, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One? Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" Jesus answers, "I am, and you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming with the clouds of heaven." They declared that this is blasphemy and that he has to be sentenced to death because of this. In Luke 1, the angel Gabriel calls Jesus the Son of God. In John 1, John the Baptist, who was a prophet according to both Christianity and Islam, says about Jesus, "I myself have seen and have testified that this is the Son of God." At the end of John 1, the apostle Nathanael says to Jesus, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel." In Matthew 16, Jesus asks his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" Peter answers, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus says that this was revealed. Jesus replies and says that this was revealed to Peter by God. So according to Jesus, God is the one who reveals to you that Jesus is the Son of the living God. In Matthew 14, Jesus walks on water during a storm. After stepping into the boat, the wind stops and his disciples bow down and worship him, crying out, "You are certainly God's Son." In John 11, Martha calls Jesus the Son of God. At his crucifixion, some of the Romans called Jesus the Son of God. Even demons would call Jesus the Son of God as he was casting them out of people and they were screaming. So The Father identifies Jesus as the Son of God. Jesus identifies himself as the Son of God. The Holy Spirit identifies Jesus as the Son of God. The angel Gabriel identifies Jesus as the Son of God. The prophet John the Baptist identifies Jesus as the Son of God. Jesus' apostles identify him as the Son of God. Martha identifies him as the Son of God. The Romans identify him as the Son of God. Demons identify him as the Son of God. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, pick a book over and over again. Jesus is called the Son of God, and our Muslim friends go to these very books to show that Jesus was a devout Muslim. Everyone in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John who could possibly identify Jesus as the Son of God identifies him as the Son of God. 600 years later, Muhammad, the prophet of Islam, comes along and tells his followers that the worst possible sin anyone can commit is claiming to be the Son of God or calling someone the Son of God. So according to Islam, according to the Quran, is Jesus a Muslim, someone who submits to the Allah of the Quran? Obviously not. He's committing the worst possible sin over and over, and so were everyone around him. But our Muslim friends have given us their perspective. So Avery, what do you think about their case?
I think that the case to prove that Jesus was a Muslim is interesting because what we have here is we have the meaning of Muslim that's given to us is whoever submits their will to God, whoever submits themselves to God, whoever believes in his books, and whoever follows his commands, believes in his command. You submit to these things, you submit to God, you are a Muslim. Well, if by that definition, if we're going with that, because I'm gonna show you how ambiguous this is. One of the best Muslims, according to this definition, that I could ever think of is Paul the Apostle. Paul, being a Pharisee, knew the scriptures, believed in the scriptures, submitted to the scriptures, submitted to God so much with so much zeal that he went after those who he thought were not submitting to the will of God and committing shirk against God by claiming that Jesus is the divine Messiah who died for our sins and rose again on the third day. So I believe that by this definition, Paul is amongst the best of Muslims. If we're going just by someone who submits their will to God and submits to his books, his revelation, and things of this nature. Not just Paul, but me. I guess am a Muslim. I believe in God. He's a triune God, infinite, and there's no one beside him, no one other than him, and he is magnificent in everything that he is. I submit to him in his revelations. I submit to his books, his commands. I am a Muslim. David, you're a Muslim. The 1,300 people in this chat who are monotheists who submit their will to God, you're Muslims. So that's how ambiguous this is. And I don't think that they would agree with this. So if we're going to be, honest with what it is to be a Muslim, it's believing and submitting to a particular concept of God that we find described in the Quran. The God that it begets not, and nor is he begotten. The God who is not a father to anyone in any sense. The God who has no children, has no partners. You know what I'm saying? The God who is not a Trinity, the God who is absolutely singular in his essence, a singular person. That's the God that you have to submit to in order to be a Muslim specifically. And so now we have this case here. Well, okay, if that's really the definition, then let's see if Jesus, the Jesus of Nazareth, the first century Jew, the Messiah, historically lines up with that concept of God. Did he submit to the God who has no sons, to the God who is absolutely singular in his essence, to the God who has, within himself, no one is with him, no family or anything of this nature? Is that the God that Jesus believed in and submitted to? And ironically, as what was mentioned, our Muslim friends quote the Bible. They went to the Bible to substantiate this idea that Jesus is a Muslim, and it's mind-boggling because the verses that they quote, as David said, literally destroy their position. Like, for example, Mark chapter 12 was quoted, verse 29, where Jesus says, that there's only one God and things of this nature. But earlier in Mark 12, starting at verse 1 to about 10, Jesus differentiates himself from the servants who are the prophets. It goes like this. He says, gives the parable of the vineyard owner, and the vineyard owner sends his servants, who are the prophets, to the people that he loaned the land to, which is Jerusalem, which is Israel, the Jews. But they kept killing his servants. They kept killing the prophets, and he kept sending them and sending them. They kept killing them and abusing them and rejecting them. But then it says here, yet he still had one to send. And it says here, a beloved son. So notice that the son is distinct from the servants. Why? He said, my beloved son, finally, he sent to them saying, they will respect my son. But those tenants said to one another, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and the inheritance will be ours. And they took him and killed him and threw him out of the vineyard. What will the owner of the vineyard do? He will come and destroy the tenants and give the vineyard to others. So Jesus, referring to himself, is the son who is distinct from the servants, the prophets, who is the heir of the Father, of God, the heir of all things, right? The one who will receive all things that God owns, including the prophets. So Jesus is identifying himself as the owner of the prophets, the one who inherits all things, creation and all. And this is who Jesus is saying he is in Mark 12. Is this an Islamic teaching? Can you be a Muslim and claim that God is your father, that Allah is your father? Can you be a Muslim and claim that you are the son of Allah, the inheritor of Allah, the one who will receive all things that Allah owns, and that you, including the prophets, that you own the prophets? It's a tough dilemma to be in. So we're showing how ambiguous this definition of Muslim was given to us. If we narrow it down, we know it's specifically about the Islamic God. And when we go into passages, John chapter 5 was quoted, for example. John 5, these guys, they said it. We didn't quote these, they did. They said Jesus submits his will to the Father in John chapter 5. Absolutely, it's true. But guess what else he says? He says that the Father shows the Son all things that he does. So there's nothing that the Father does without the Son. Does Allah ever work alone? Does he always do things with the Son? Guess what else? Jesus says that whatever the Father does, that the Son does also. Jesus says that he can do whatever Allah can do. Also in John 5, we haven't even left John 5 yet. There's so much more to get to. In John 5, he says that all may honor the Son just as they honor the Father. So my question would be, how do you honor Allah? Is it through worship? Is it through supplication? Jesus says that you have to honor him the same way you honor Allah. Is that Islamic? I don't think so.
Well, Time, thank you very much. We're going to jump into the open dialogue. Thanks so much for being with us, folks. Don't forget to hit that like to let the YouTube algorithm know what to suggest more of to you. With that, gentlemen, the floor is all yours.
Now, Avery, I want to put it back a little bit. You said that the term Muslim is ambiguous. Yes, it is very ambiguous, especially in the Quran. God says multiple times, all believers, all people of the book, all disbelievers, all associators. So he never says all Muslims, because it is an ambiguous verse, ambiguous meaning where it covers many people. You're actually correct in the definition, where anyone who is submitting to a monotheistic Lord, because there is only one God. So you want to play around with the words like Father and Allah as if they're not equal, even though you have your definition of what a father is. Let's go with the Lord of the skies and the earth, Rabbus samawati wal ard. There's only one entity that created the skies and the earth. It created this entity. He created the human. He understands the human. He told the human, do this and don't do that. That is the Lord that we submit to. Now, our perspective and what he can do and what he can't do, this is where we're opening it up for debate. But this Lord that I defined is the Lord of Abraham. And anyone who submits to this Lord of Abraham, and despite what associations they have with it, or they attach to him, or however they're viewing him in a certain perspective, that is changing their theology. But it doesn't change how many gods there is. There's only one. So yes, you are right. You and David, if you are submitting to the Lord of the skies and the earth, created this world, you by definition is a Muslim. So you conceded by the way you define what Muslim is on its ambiguity. you defined what Muslim means, okay? And then you went into a specific trying to prove.
One second. I just wanted to ask for a couple clarifications because I do want to understand. I do want to understand your point before you move on to another one. But so you're saying that we, in your definition of Muslims as people who submit to God, that we would be, Avery and I would be Muslims. Just to clarify, I'm assuming you're going to say yes. But Sunnis, Shias, Sufis, these would all be Muslims and that they are submitting to God, but you would believe they're misguided in certain ways. But they would all be Muslims, right?
They're Muslims, but they're not believers. They have not entered the faith and the belief. They've submitted that there's a God, but they're going to do whatever they want. So there's people that disbelieve there is no God. That's an atheist. That's a person that did not submit this as a criminal. And there's people that understand that God exists, but they want to purposely devout the way outside of the way of God. Those are devils. But then the submitter is, there's a God, there's a day of judgment. That's where it stands.
So you would say, so regarding us, would you say that we are Muslims but not believers?
You're a Muslim you're not believers, and you have concepts of shirk. God never refers to you as mushrikun. God refers to you as people who committing disbelief by the association. But he never called you a mushrik. By name, Christians were never called mushrik. But he's saying, hey, when you're saying God is a one of a third, you're committing disbelief. When you're saying that Jesus is the Son of God, you're committing disbelief. But he never said you are a mushrik, because a mushrik is much bigger than that concept. So yes, everyone in the world has some concepts of shirk in their iman. They're associating things with God, and in return, their life moves away from the clear path a little bit. And and that's because it's not forgiven. So you're gonna eat it either here in the world or the hereafter. Some people are just completely gone.
So what do you think about that, Avery?
I think it's interesting. You're a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. We're all Muslims. So it's a Muslim party here.
But are you ready? Are you ready now?
He said, well, I still want to examine this. I still want to, we got to dig deep in this, man. So you said, for those who say that Jesus is the Son of God, that they are, we're disbelievers for saying that, but we're still Muslims. So my question is according to the verses that you quoted, is Jesus, he's a Muslim, but he's a disbeliever?
Avery, to answer you very quickly, do you submit that God is controlling this world?
No. That doesn't answer my question. That doesn't answer my question.
I am going to answer your question. I'm asking you simply yes or no. Do you accept that God is controlling this world and there's a day of judgment? Yes or no?
Sure. So can you answer my question?
So now to answer your question, there have been...
It sounds like Avery has a question for you too.
No, he said he's about to answer.
I understand the question. Yeah. So there's people that messed up in the religion prior to Jesus. Jesus came to fix the religion. After Jesus, people messed up in the religion. Muhammad came to fix the religion.
That's not what I asked.
After Muhammad, I'm telling you. So when you're claiming that Jesus said that he is the begotten Son of God, that is not something that Jesus would say.
Okay. So let's pause here for a second. I'm talking about the verses you quoted to prove to us in our Bible that Jesus is a Muslim. So I'm not talking about what you think is corrupted. I'm talking the parts that you quoted as if they're not corrupted. So
then you're talking to Shaiba. I quoted only two verses, 530 and 22:21.
Exactly. And you said out of your mouth, I heard you, it's recorded in your verses, you read that Jesus submits his will to the Father as he hears, he judges, and he submits his will to the Father. So Jesus in John 5:30, in John chapter 5 says he's the Son of God and he submits to his Father. I'm gonna ask again. So according to the verses you quoted, is Jesus a Muslim but a disbeliever?
5:30. Jesus has said he submitted his will. People saying that he's the begotten Son of God, that is something that Jesus did not say.
No. Let me clarify this, Avery, because I think he's missing the point. So he's not saying what you believe or what Islam teaches. Avery is asking, since you quoted John chapter 5 verse 30, and that's where Jesus says that everything that the Father does, he does, and that you have to honor the Son the same way you honor the Father. Avery is asking, is Jesus in this passage, even if you believe it's corrupt, but is he in this
get it.
passage a Muslim but not a believer? Because he's saying that he's the
David,
son and you have to honor him the same way.
But Dave, Mohammed, wait, Dave, the John chapter 5 verse 30 doesn't say what you just said. That's not the verse we used. So what point are you making from that?
Okay, so let's. It's very
wait,
simple.
wait. Didn't Muhammad say he brought up John 5:30?
5:30.
Yeah.
No, I brought John 5:30.
No,
when
no,
I-
both of you
Both
did.
of them.
Both
Okay,
of
so
you
both
did.
you did.
But it doesn't say anything about.
But it
honor the
doesn't say
son.
what you are saying. It doesn't say what you, David, is saying.
Yeah, we're
So-
talking about the rest of the passage. Let me just give a breakdown of what's actually going on in that passage.
I promise.
But-
I understand what you're saying, but let me answer very quickly.
You're not
So
answering.
we do not subscribe that the gospel is 100% truth. So
yeah, we're not saying
quoting the
that.
things
We're
that are-
asking about
But
according to
one
the
minute,
passage.
1 minute, David. We're quoting the things that are aligning with the truth, and the things that are not aligning with the truth. We are here to help you correct it with the criterion, which is the Quran. So
That's
no,
why.
Jesus
That's
would
why
not
we're saying we're not saying
he's
we
the
know
Son
you.
of God.
We know you believe that Jesus said other things. We're saying according to this passage, would the person who is saying these things, saying that he does whatever the Father does, someone who says that he's the one who raises the dead at the resurrection, someone who says that that you have to honor him the same way you honor the Father, where he says that he is the final judge of all mankind, would a person who said these things in this passage be a Muslim but not a believer?
2 points. One, that I'll bring you back to an earlier debate where we had,
Dude, it's
where I
yes
told
or
you
no,
Jesus can speak in the first person. And then the other thing is, just like how you're saying there's ambiguity with how the son is defined.
Yes
the
or
Jews
no?
define, 1 second. The Jews define the son in a different way than you defined the son. David was a son of God. There's Benu Elohim, the sons of God. There's many
Bro.
sons of God in the Bible. So when you're taking it as a begotten son, that's when you went off course. But it doesn't necessarily say that Jesus was saying, I am the begotten son. My father had a certain relationship with my mother, and here I come without a father. That's where it's the problem.
Exactly.
Dude, it's very simple, man. We didn't ask you all of that. We don't need the fluff. Seriously, answer the question.
Yeah, but by your
this is
question,
ridiculous.
some questions.
Excuse me.
can be
I'm sorry.
inappropriate.
I'm sorry. Like I can't do this, dude.
Uh-huh.
Do what?
It's very
Do it.
simple. What David asked you and what I asked you. It's super simple. According
Or do
to
you
the
take
text,
the gospel 100%
please,
or just
please,
a little
excuse me.
bit? That's what you're
it's
saying.
it's very simple. Please, it's very very simple. Is this person who's claiming to be the son of the Father, who can do whatever the Father does, and is honored the same way the Father is honored, who raises the dead and judges at the day of judgment, is that person a Muslim but not a believer? Yes or no?
He's not a Muslim.
Thank you.
Whoa,
Beautiful.
Jesus in John chapter 5 is not a Muslim, but you quote John chapter
It is-
5 to show
Wait,
that
wait,
Jesus
wait.
is a Muslim.
David,
Understand the
David,
context.
David.
Don't wait, one moment. Don't twist the issues here.
Don't twist it,
It's-
David.
We're
it
not
is-
the one
Yeah,
twisting.
yeah. No.
David, don't you
Every,
twist
wait,
it.
no, don't interrupt.
I'll
Don't
try
interrupt,
not
please,
to.
Please.
Gentlemen, all right, we're
Every-
going to go with Shuaib for about 1 minute, then we'll go back. Go ahead, Shuaib.
You are playing the semantics here. Look, Matthew
Very
chapter 24, verse 36, it tells you clearly, Jesus says, nobody knows the day of judgment, right? Now, if you are trying to twist issues and base it on an issue to ask Muhammad a question by trying to put him in one corner, with a contradictive question, that is nonsensical. What I'm trying to let you know right now is, if you go to John chapter 20, verse 17, Jesus says, I ascend to my Father, your Father, and to my God, your God. But if we understand and we quote certain passages where he's mentioned the Father, doesn't actually denote that he's the begotten Son. But you are trying to put it in a nutshell by questioning Muhammad that, if Jesus claims he's the Son and he is this, does that make him a Muslim or a believer? But that is a nonsensical type of question to ask. Based on chapter 5, John chapter 5, verse 30, the passage we quoted, if you have to base it on exactly the context we quoted, it says, I can of myself do nothing. As I hear, I judge. So it means he's doing the will of the Father. This is what we
James.
quoted as a reference.
Beautiful.
We'll kick it over
5
to-
seconds.
We'll kick it.
Beautiful.
Oh, hold on. I just want to keep going back and forth between teams. We'll have you go right after Avery. Avery, 60 seconds.
Okay. Within the 60 seconds, please, Shoaib. Is Allah a father? Yes or no?
He's not a father.
Thank you. So if someone is claiming that Allah is their father, then they're not a Muslim, correct?
You have to understand the perspective on how he's using the word father.
It doesn't matter.
Father, is it biological? Wait. Clarify the point first.
Okay,
biological father,
Shaiba is very easy.
spiritual father.
No, please. Let me just ask it. Is Allah the father in any sense?
No.
Figuratively,
No.
allegorically, any sense?
No, he's not.
No.
He's not.
Thank you.
Okay,
So it doesn't
Shaiba, I have a
matter.
question. Shaiba, I
Just-
have a question.
Wait, please.
Is
wait.
the person that is
Wait,
defined
please,
in the
guys,
Quran?
But if
guys,
it was
relax.
60 seconds, I do want to give a chance to Avery to finish, and then we'll
Yes.
go right over to you, Muhammad.
All right, thank you. So look, both of you just said that Allah is not a father in any sense. So it doesn't matter in what sense Jesus claims to be the son, whether it's begotten, whether it's allegorical, in any sense, if you claim to be the son of Allah, you're not a Muslim. I'll end my point there because I'll let you guys, you do your thing. But
Hey.
you guys just cooked yourselves, man.
Shaiba, no, we didn't. This is how
Cooked.
retarded you sound.
We are
Shaiba,
good chefs.
Shaiba,
We don't cook
brother,
ourselves.
Shaiba is the person that's mentioned in John in its entirety. Was that Jesus speaking? Yes or no? Was the person in the whole thing, just like how the prophet in the hadith, is that Muhammad? Absolutely. Is the person that's quoted completely in John, the one that they're quoting, was that Jesus in his entirety? Yes or no? Shuaiba, yes or no?
Oh, it's Shuaib. Oh,
Yeah, Shuaiba, is that person Jesus or no?
No, he's not. And
Hey, ooh, we win!
not.
Wow, we got
well,
it.
of course, they know that. They know that. They are trying
That's
to
how
play
stupid
semantics.
you sound,
No,
Avery.
no.
The person that is completely in the John that you're quoting, that is not Jesus completely speaking. And this is what you're doing earlier. Oh, so the person that's in Sahih Muslim, is that not the prophet then? If I said no, oh, we won.
Exactly.
Because you're dumb. The person that is saying that he's the son of a God or that he is equal with the Father, that is nothing from Jesus. And we're here to tell you that if you have submitted to the Lord of the world, the skies and the earth, you are saying complete blasphemy to put someone as weak as a human, as an equal to who created you and who can destroy you, who saved Jesus from the cross. Do you understand that? Jesus
and
couldn't
so-
save himself.
Yeah.
How
So
retarded
here's
is
here's
this
the
conversation?
here's the points we're trying to make. So in response to our discussion of John 5:30, Shuaib pointed out, he went to John 20, where Jesus says, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. So notice, even the verse itself, you guys both agreed would not be Islamic, and yet you're quoting it to defend your point that Jesus was a Muslim. But it's even crazier if you keep reading.
No.
Because no. Yes, I'll read whatever I want. In verse 22, same passage, a couple verses later, it says Jesus breathed on them and said, receive the Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness. That ties in with the last debate. But then just a few verses after that, a week later, his disciples were in the house again and Thomas was with them. Though the doors were locked, Jesus came in and stood among them and said, peace be with you. Then he said to Thomas, put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting, Shuaib and Muhammad, and believe. Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. Then Jesus said to him, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. Our point is that you keep quoting passages to show that Jesus is a Muslim. And if you simply keep reading, there's no way he's a Muslim. So you're saying, but the one verse that we agree with, that's the real Jesus. But the rest of it, which completely contradicts Islam, no, that's all just made up. That's not Jesus.
Right,
Notice,
we
passage
pushed
after
it.
passage after passage, you quote, and
Aaron.
literally all you have to do is read before it or after it, and it shows that Jesus
David,
can't possibly be a
you're
Muslim,
ridiculous.
according to
We'll go
you.
over to-
How many times in the Bible have you put the prophets in a light that is not true? So Aaron said that he built a
Different
cow
talk. Notice,
for
changing the topic.
No, I'm not changing
Building
the
a
topic.
cow.
I'm showing you the
Aaron
consistency.
building a cow, everyone.
Yeah. No,
No,
he built a cow
Dave,
for
let
people
him
to be
finish.
mushriks, and then Solomon worshipped women, and he also worshipped fake deities. So it's not very hard for these authors like Paul the Apostate, Saul the Apostate, that he wants to.
He's a
quote
Muslim.
earlier
He's
that
a Muslim. Keep in
Hold
mind.
on.
Apparently,
Just a-
no, because in your own book it says that if you kill an innocent soul, like you killed the whole world. How many innocent
No,
souls
it
did he
doesn't.
kill? Oh, and then all of
No,
a
it
sudden
doesn't.
he's a messenger.
It
That's
doesn't
when
say
you
that.
get
Sorry.
deluded.
That's
Well,
that's
in
in the
the-
Talmud. The Quran gets that from the Talmud.
That's the
not
Talmud.
Bible.
That's one of the problems from the last debate that Muhammad didn't know what he was quoting.
But guys,
So you
the
don't
book,
agree with that?
your book of authority, you've taken verses and other books out of your books.
We're only
And
quoting
look,
what you said.
look,
You
no,
said it.
no,
You
let's
said,
hear
here's
it.
the
Let's-
chapter.
you are-
We
Let's
go
wait
with
from Shuaib.
Wait. You are taking our words out of context. Like I keep saying,
That's
this is
ironic,
a game of
David.
semantics.
How ironic.
We're
What-
taking
what-
them out
what
of
ironic?
context,
Oh,
Avery.
Oh, so you are doing the same thing, huh? Okay. So the
So
point is,
we're only
No.
doing to you what you do to Jesus. That's all.
okay, you let me speak.
Yeah,
up.
they're giving verses
So-
and we're
it's
quoting
okay,
the
let me speak
context.
up.
Let's hear from.
Let me
Okay,
speak,
let's
let
give
me
it
speak.
full 60
You're right,
seconds to Shuaib.
Yeah.
So what we are doing is when we quote passages from your book, we are quoting passages and showing you if we have to use logic to understand the concept you have in your book. By that logic, this is how A falls in the criteria of being a Muslim, a submitter to God. But you are taking all the chunks you have, which you know some verses in your book are interpolated. They are not from God, neither are they from Jesus. They are people's opinions. You are trying to add up to make a point. We are not using people's opinions in your book. We are quoting passages where Jesus is making references about who God is or what he is here to do. But then you just quote verses out of context and say, we are making claims from the same book. Then what is the idea of the debate? The idea of the debate is to go inside your book to make sense out of a passage where we can actually have it in the context of our own books to prove to the people. That's what we are doing. So it's not as if we believe in the entirety of your book. No.
Can I say something here, David? Shuaib, notice how my man and Muhammad, this is for you too, this is for both of you guys. Notice how we never quoted a single passage or talked about a single passage that you didn't quote yourself. We're only using the context of the passage that you use. That's it. So it's
No,
if you
not
want,
true.
if you're
Not
trying
true.
to say, sorry, if you're trying to say that we're taking your words out of context, bro.
Dave said I quoted.
This
He
is
said,
like you might as well just not say anything. How about this? Don't quote the Bible anymore. Just give up on the Bible. Just admit that according to the Bible, Jesus is not a Muslim, and try to use something else to prove it. Because you can't. According to the Bible and the passages
Look.
you guys go to, you've already admitted Allah's not a father. A Muslim can't call Allah a father and be a Muslim. Jesus says that he's the son of God, and so therefore he can't be a Muslim, according to the passages y'all quote. So stop quoting the Bible. Try to use something else to
Avery,
prove that he's a
no,
Muslim.
I think you need to understand something. We're quoting a certain verse, and you go, "Oh, well, carry on with the other bullshit." that
exactly.
people wrote."
Exactly.
That's the problem. We're not talking about the other nonsense. Now,
Look.
here's the thing. God logic, Mr. Avery. So can you please now tell me that David is the son of God? Because if you go to Psalm 2:7, if you go to Psalm 2:7, he goes, "I will proclaim the Lord's decree. He said to me,
David, please
you
let me
are
finish.
my son. Today I have become your father." So is David the son of God?
David is a son of God, which proves that he's not a Muslim.
So it's not a trinity.
So now watch,
Yeah.
watch
It's not a
this, though.
trinity.
But hold on.
He doesn't
please,
get it.
please.
He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it at all. But the audience gets it. Let me show you, Muhammad, how silly your procedure is here. So you
David's
only
the
want to
son of
stick
God.
to specific. Wait, please. You only want to stick.
Yes or no? Is David a son of
Bro,
God?
relax.
Oh my
please.
goodness.
Relax.
Say it.
We let
Yes or
you
no?
talk.
Yeah, we let you
Well,
talk.
I just
bro.
want. It's
You
a
only-
simple
you
Oh
yes or no.
only
my
wanna stick
goodness.
to-
He's gonna let him break it down.
Yeah.
This is
Is
very
it
simple.
yes or no? Is David a son of God?
Dude, seriously.
David is a son of God. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you
which
for your
means he's
answer.
not a-
And we're about to clarify things for you.
Yes.
And they're all contradicting Islam.
All of
them. Go
all
ahead.
of them.
Go ahead, Avery.
So look, David
Actually, you're about to
is
contradict
a
yourself.
son of God.
No, we're not.
David is a son of God, which means David is not a Muslim. That's in the Psalms that your Quran says that is from God, that he wrote himself. Chapter 21, verse 105 of the Quran, Allah says in the Quran that he's the one who wrote the Psalms for David. So Allah is the one writing that David is his son. Astaghfirullah. Look, we're going with your
Exactly.
Well, no, wait, you are misquoting the Quran,
please,
bro.
I want to get to my
Misquotation.
point. I want to
Uh-huh.
get to my point. So your whole procedure is let's forget all the surrounding verses, only stick to the verses that we mentioned, Avery and David. Okay, let's do that. You quoted John 5:30. It simply
Right.
says this, ladies and gentlemen: I can do nothing on my own. As I hear, I judge, and my judgment is just, because I seek not my own will, but the will of him who sent me. Period. Muhammad, who's speaking here?
This is Jesus.
How do you know that?
Speaking.
How do you
It's
know?
the submitter.
Show me
That's the
in the
submitter.
verse where it says Jesus is speaking.
This is not a gospel about Jesus.
Wait, show me where it's about gospel about Jesus.
Is this a gospel about Jesus?
Avery is
Listen to me.
Avery is pointing.
what he's
Avery is
doing.
pointing out
I
that
get
this is
what
a
he's doing.
passage. This is a passage. You're going to the last verse of a passage.
I
How do you know that
understand
verse
it.
is even Jesus?
So,
Because of the
David-
passage, but the passage completely contradicts Muhammad and the Quran.
David, because you have your whole document. Some of it is from Jesus,
Oh,
and
we
some
have
of
a
it
whole
is
document.
bullshit. So we have yes. The thing
If you can't,
it's very simple.
if
So
you're
I am
saying
quoting
John,
the
if you're
stuff
saying
that's
no,
true.
if you're saying verse
And the
21 through
lies
29 are
you're
not from
saying.
Jesus, how do you know the next one is from Jesus?
Because I have a criterion, which is on his desk right there. I compare it to what the Quran says, and the Quran supersedes the lies. Now, if you say that David is the son of God, so David is also the first and last, and
A
then
son of
Abraham
God.
also submitted. And then so Abraham also
I can
submitted
explain
to
that.
David, and that David. I don't need your explanation.
Don't
If
let
you're
him-
going
Yeah,
by
you-
what
Yes, you
what
do.
the son
You
of-
absolutely do, because you have no clue what you're
don't.
talking about right now, and I can clarify it for you. You can walk away more knowledgeable than when you walked into this discussion.
No,
I can break
David,
it down.
it's very
Just let me
simple.
break it down. I'll break it down. If I can't break it down, then you can
No,
say,
no,
you're an
it's
idiot.
very- you are an idiot. So the thing.
Well,
is,
your
somebody
prophet's
is saying-
your prophet's a child molesting, murdering rapist. If
I
we're going
didn't
to start
talk
name
about.
calling,
I didn't talk about.
But
I don't.
you
I didn't
called
talk about.
names.
Doesn't matter.
All right, fine. You know what?
We're name calling.
no,
Name
I
calling.
guys,
apologize.
let's
Name
I
calling. Okay,
apologize
okay.
for
No,
calling
that's
you
good.
an
That's
idiot.
good. That's
All right,
we're
I hate
good. We're
to
good.
jump
We're
I
in.
take
good.
it back. Do you
No,
take
we're
it
good.
back?
We
I take it
agreed.
back.
We agreed, James. We've settled the issue.
Okay.
Okay.
So here's the thing. So if you're going to define what a son is by what Jesus said what a son is, and then the word son is used by David, then we have to go by the same understanding. You can't come here and give me mental gymnastics how it's different.
Okay.
It's true.
So
And can
Yeah.
you please take the words back you said about my prophet? Because I didn't insult any of your
no,
prophets.
no, ain't none of that. So
Hey, it's
you
not
can-
about you, man.
No,
You-
no,
it-
let
it is
let
about
him
me.
take the words back
Yeah.
first.
No,
Let me
no,
put-
you
I took
no,
my words
yeah,
back. I
no.
apologize for David for calling him an idiot. That was
Okay,
out
there
of
we go.
line,
he
out
has
of
to
anger, and I'm sorry.
apologize because that's
David,
not what
can you
we are
please
here
take
for.
our words back? I'm not asking you to apologize. Just
Yeah.
take the words back that you said.
Yeah,
about my
yeah. So I was only reacting to name calling. So
Yes.
if we're agreeing we're not doing that, yes, I take it back.
Thank
All
you.
right. So please, I want to touch on this because you completely ran away from the point. So you said to forget everything in the passages. You literally called it all that other nonsense. So we're only going to stick to the passages you quote. You said that you use your Quran as a criterion. So where in your Quran does it say that John 5:30 is Jesus speaking?
Based on your question doesn't mean we should give you direct answer based on the way you are questioning. You say where in the Quran does it say John 5:30? That is nonsensical.
Oh, okay. So look, you know what, Shoaib? I agree with that. Do you want to know why it's nonsensical? Because the claim was nonsensical. When asked who is speaking here, and he says, well, we believe Jesus is speaking here because the Quran is the criterion. Okay, show me where the Quran tells you that this is Jesus
Avery,
speaking. You can't
that's
do
not what
it
I said.
because it's
Okay,
nonsensical.
every
So
help
wait,
us out.
Let me land.
Every
let me
help us
land.
out. Who is
Let me
speaking then?
land. Let me land, please. Let me land. So I'm going only with Muhammad's criteria of hermeneutics, of exegesis. I'm going with Muhammad. So he said, get rid of all the other verses, only focus on the passages that we quoted. So he quoted only John 5:30, which he said. So tell me again, who is the one speaking who says, as I do nothing of my own, as I hear, I judge? Who is speaking?
God logic, I think you are misunderstanding what I'm saying. Is that when I am taking a document and I'm reading the document in its entirety, whether it's theology or outside of theology, even if it's the American Constitution, I go put it back to my criterion, which is the Quran. So that means if the verses that are applying with the Quran, I will substitute that and I will accept from it. And the things that do not align with the Quran, I will overlook them. So the verse already clarifies, or the passage gives us some context that Jesus is speaking and what it's about. The things that are pertaining to what a Muslim is, the definition of a Muslim, I use that to show you that Jesus himself described what a Muslim is. And then you went to talk about how he committed shirk, and so therefore he cannot be a Muslim. But that's not the point that I'm addressing, because I don't believe that he said that.
I know. So I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let David take the next point because this is important.
Yeah, I basically, I want to let you finish and then he can respond. But I wanted to actually explain, because this is a common point. Other people in the Bible are called sons of God. So how do we reconcile that with our claim that Jesus? I just want to clarify what we view for Muhammad and Shuaib. If they want to reject it, they can reject it. But I want to at least clarify.
That clearly shows how contradictory.
I'm about to, guys.
No,
guys,
yeah,
it was,
go ahead,
it was on
Avery.
me. Yeah, thank you. So this is important. What we just noticed is that now all of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, we're allowed to use the context to find out who the person that's speaking. So we see from the context that Jesus is speaking. Thanks a lot. So now, according to Muhammad, we can use the context, but then use the Quran. Whatever disagrees with the Quran, falsehood, what agrees with it, that's good. But according to the context, who in the world is Jesus saying that he submits his will to? The Father. Who is he saying that he hears from? The Father, according to the context. So even John 5:30 proves that Jesus was not a Muslim based on the context. So you shouldn't quote it. Since the Quran is the criterion, John 5:30 should be out. That's my only point. You just helped me with that.
Yeah, but necessarily using the word father in John 5:30, as you keep saying, I even quoted chapter John 20:17 to show you where he says, "My father, your father, and my God, your God."
Keep reading.
What?
I keep reading. I already pointed out. The same passage identifies Jesus as Lord and God.
No, it doesn't.
Guys, I think you
Yeah,
guys
yeah,
are
it
missing
does.
the point.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it does. I already
because
quoted
the
it.
Jesus you are claiming doesn't even know the day of judgment. How can he be God?
You're quoting John 20. In that passage,
No,
Jesus is
according to
called
your
my
Bible,
Lord and
does
my God.
Jesus know the day of judgment?
No,
Look, you're going to a different passage. We're happy to deal with passages, but notice
I'm
every time.
asking you now.
No. Yeah,
I'm
but you're
asking
changing.
you.
You're
Can you answer that?
changing. No, I'm not, because you're changing the subject. If you want to
not
deal with
changing.
if you want to deal with this topic and then go on, that's
No,
fine.
because you
But
interrupted.
No,
So now, based on your
you keep
interruption, I have to
keep
ask
quoting
you
a
question.
verse when we just keep reading, and then you say don't keep reading.
You just said Jesus.
That's
is
the
God.
definition of ripping things out of context. No,
Is
I said
Jesus God?
no. I said the passage you quoted calls Jesus my Lord and my God. You brought
It
that
doesn't.
passage up. It does.
It doesn't.
Not
put
the one
Jesus-
that we brought
You
up.
want me to read it again? You want me to
Verse
read it again?
We're talking about the one
Yeah,
that
read
we
it.
All right,
I'm-
let's
I'm
break it
speaking.
into. I
Go
do
ahead and
want to break
read.
it into.
No,
I do want to break
speaking.
it
Let me
into.
finish.
Break it into maybe 60-minute intervals, or not
60 minutes.
intervals.
Okay, I'll take the first one. I'll take the
No,
first
No,
one,
let me
James.
finish first.
No,
I'm
wait.
making a point.
Hold on.
I just wanted to.
just-
Oh yeah, go ahead. You make a point.
Uh-huh. So I was quoting
He's
John-
going to make a point, and then I want to address the
John
previous point.
20:17, Jesus said unto her, "Touch me not, for I am not yet ascended to my Father." So if we have to go with the context of this verse, check clearly the words he used. But go to my brethren and say unto them, I ascend unto my Father and your Father,
Mhm.
and to my God and
Yep.
your God.
Not
Now,
Islamic.
if you base on this logic of this verse, it clearly shows that Jesus is not claiming to be the begotten Son of God, which means they can also be the same God can be their father and their father. So it's just a figment of speech. It doesn't necessarily mean he is the Son of God, as you guys are claiming. But bear in mind, your book, the Gospels you are using, is the Gospels according to St. Luke, St. Matthew, and John. These are people's opinion mixed up with the words of Jesus.
And you
as
keep
well.
quoting them. Mhm. All right, let me go and answer that. So if you kept reading in the same passage, if you keep reading in the same passage, that's where you have just verse 28, just a few verses after what you quoted. Thomas said to him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus told them, "Because you have seen me, you have believed." He counts this as belief, calling him my Lord and my God. But I did want to address this, and it might be a few more seconds, but you guys can respond. There is this massive misunderstanding about Son of God. In the Bible, God is Father, and people can be sons of God in different senses. I'll go ahead and clarify them for you so you understand. Human beings in general are called children of God or offspring of God, in a similar sense to what you guys were talking about earlier in the previous debate, where we all come from God. So human beings in general can be called children of God. That's Acts chapter 17. And so in that sense, we can all be, you guys are sons of God. Second, spirit beings are called sons of God. This is in Job 1. Angels are called sons of God. Third, the nation of Israel is called God's son because God produces the nation. So he's the father of the nation. Fourth, the reigning Davidic king So King David and those who were king after him, his descendants, they were called sons of God because they were put on the throne by God and they were to rule under God's authority as God's representative. Shoaib, you quoted Matthew 5 earlier, and there you have that we can be called sons of God. Here it's people who sort of reflect God's nature will be called sons of God. It's a different sense. The idea is that we have a kind of family resemblance to God when we're serving God. So you have different senses in which God is a father, and you have different senses in which we are the sons of God. What we're pointing out is there is a son who is the son of God in a very special sense, similar to what Avery was pointing out earlier with the parable of the vineyard, where prophets come along, but then finally the son comes and he's the one who inherits everything and has authority over everything. And then we're pointing out that in John chapter 5, which you quoted, if you read, Jesus isn't saying, hey, I'm the son of God in just in the sense that other people are the sons of God. He's saying that he's the son that you can't honor you can't honor the father unless you honor the son by treating him the same way you treat the father. This is where Jesus claims that he is going to raise the dead at the resurrection. This is where he claims that he's the final judge. So he's claiming to be in a special sense. So you can't say, well, Jesus says he's the son of God, there's other sons of God, therefore it's all the same sense. It's not. The Bible's clear on this. This is not difficult.
Muhammad.
So yeah, when you're talking about like the definition of what a son of God is in the Bible, you can see that it's inconsistent. So there are different in your ways of interpretation what a son of God is. Now, look, if you want to refer to people as the children of God in that sense where there is no direct begetting, that's on your curriculum. This is what God has revealed to you. God has told us that it's better to not say these kind of things because it can lead to these inconsistencies that you're finding in your book, in a point where people are saying, well, no, he's actually the son of God, where that's the mother of God. So this is where these issues arise from people not understanding what maybe even let's hypothetically, because I don't know, neither do you. Hypothetically, let's say that Jesus did refer to his Lord as the Father. Maybe that was for him in the sense that he understood it, but he's not calling him his begotten dad. I don't believe that he said that, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for saying that. But you are causing transgression when you want to humanify, like make God as if he came into a human form. That's the only thing that the Quran is telling you. We're not. And when you're quoting Bible verses, we're quoting the verses that we understand that would attract you to what we're telling you as if the truth from God. We're not debating you to break your beat your dance. We're debating you so that we could free God and his messengers of the lies that are being said. Not by you, by the people who came before you, which you keep constantly repeating. So you guys can laugh as much as you want. But on the day of judgment, God's going to say, 5:30, didn't Jesus say that he's a submitter? Yes. Okay, end the story. You can't be like, oh, well, keep reading God. No, he's a submitter. He submitted his will to God. That's what your verses say. But you're debating which God did he submit to. That's not the point of the debate. Because there's only one God. Your God and my God is one God.
Wow. So this is what we got here. He just said that it doesn't matter what God you're talking about or who you submit to. That is the point of the debate. Because being a Muslim, well, I think that you and Shoaib kind of differ on here, because you say that you can have a different theology. You could be a Muslim but not a believer. You can have different theology. I don't know if Shoaib has that same thought, which is why he was like, what I was asking you based on that is nonsensical, because it was a nonsensical statement. But here's the point: when you look in the Bible and you see that God is a father in many different senses, this proves that it's not talking about Allah, which you guys are agreed is not a father in any sense. So please do not lose that point. So you just proved to us that the God of the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God that Jesus says is his own father, the God that revealed himself to David and Moses and all of them, claims to be a father in some sense. And therefore, none of these prophets are talking about the same God that you're talking about. So according to your definition of Muslim, they're Muslims, but not believers. Jesus is a Muslim, but not a believer. But Shoaib said, nah, this Jesus in John 5 is not a Muslim. So I think that you guys handed this over to us on a silver platter, man.
Not really, because you're so like you can't see that the
Avery,
same
you're
God that's feeding me is feeding you.
Avery, you're confusing narrative. It is based on the Jesus you presented to ask a question. I'm telling you, it's not a Muslim. But if you are saying I said the 5:30, John chapter 5:30 is not a Muslim, I used that to present my argument in the first place. I'm not saying that it's not a Muslim. That's a contradictory statement here you're using. That's not what I said. It is based on the question you were asking, Muhammad. That is what I answered, not the verse I quoted. The verse I quoted was to actually use that to stipulate my argument, to just show you that this is the criteria we are using to just show you why he is a Muslim, submitted to God. That's why
Let me say very simply, anybody that says he's a son of God or he's a God, he is not a submitter and he's a heretic. Right?
Okay,
we don't believe,
Jesus,
we don't believe. Well, one second, let me finish the fuck.
In the passages you quote, okay.
Guys,
Jesus is not a submitter and he's a heretic, David. Alhamdulillah, we just want to
debate over.
You're making a sermon,
It's over.
but this is,
Go ahead, Muhammad.
It's over.
but no, it isn't over because the person that you are calling Jesus isn't the Jesus that I'm talking about.
You gave
That
this
isn't
Jesus. Do you
I
understand?
didn't give you this Jesus. I'm
Muhammad,
giving
please,
you.
just 2 seconds.
Avery,
please.
let me finish the point before.
Okay,
you
go ahead.
jump
I'll let you
in.
finish, but I'm about to expose you again. Go ahead.
So you're not exposing anything except your flaw in your mentality. The thing that is very clear that anyone who claims that he is the son of God, he is no longer submitted to the God of Abraham. So it's impossible for a prophet of God to say that he is the begotten son of God. So the lies that you're attributing to Jesus is not from Jesus. You call Jesus the son of God. Jesus did not call himself a son of God, and thus he stayed a Muslim. You're the one who's committing a disbelief. And if you're saying that someone who's saying that God has a son is no longer a submitter to God, then you guys just took yourself out of the fold of the religion and the creed of Abraham.
All right. Thank
So
you so
when you're
much.
celebrating on the Day of Judgment, you're not going to celebrate very long.
Okay, thank you. I'm actually going to be celebrating for eternity, actually. But listen, there's about almost 1,200 people watching now. When you guys get a chance, clip the part earlier in the beginning in their opening statements when they were reading out these verses, and Muhammad himself said, based on John 5:30, see, Jesus submitted his will to the Father. He's a Muslim. You, out of your own mouth, said that he submits his will to the Father. So guess what? According to you, Muhammad, Jesus is not a submitter. The Jesus you presented to us is not a submitter. He's a heretic, and he's not a Muslim. The debate is over. I don't know what even we're doing.
Avery,
here
I'm
right
using
Okay.
a communication language. I'm using a language you would understand. I don't think he is the Father, nor do I subscribe him to the Father. I used your book against you. But yes, the debate is over because you already admitted that Jesus submitted his will to the Father. The Father is Allah. End of story. Thank you very much. Every Christian Arab will tell you the same thing.
The Father is
Jesus
Allah.
submitted his will to Allah because they speak Arabic. Allah is not different. They even call Jesus Allah. Just this is where you're
Every.
I'm listening to Shoaib. Go ahead.
According to you, is Jesus the first and last son of God?
He's the firstborn son of God in the sense that he has preeminence over all creation.
And he calls himself
Wait.
and he calls himself the first and the last in Revelation 1.
Mhm.
But then how come Exodus chapter 4 verse 22 claim that Israel is my first son?
We just explained.
oh my
I literally just explained it. It uses different senses. If I say so and so is the father of modern,
So it is based on your concept of explanation.
Let me explain. If I say I am the father of 5 sons, that's one thing. If I say so and so is the father of modern medicine, that's a different. If I say these are the founding fathers of the country, I'm using father in a different sense. You guys are somehow saying that there's no way to use father and son in a different sense. That is insane.
But
How the Bible uses it in different ways, and you're saying no, you can't do that. Of course you can. It's not my opinion.
No, but
it's all over the Bible.
Who
It's
said
all
that?
over the Bible.
Where did Jesus tell you this?
Just really quick too on
Yeah.
top of this. So it doesn't say first son, it says firstborn. And the term firstborn, as David has just explained, and as I explained, and as we both
Can you quote
explained,
the verse?
if we
Quote the
fuse
verse.
together, we're speaking at the
Quote
same
the
time.
verse.
That's the
Literally,
nation. The nation he
Quote,
brought forth.
quote the
exactly.
verse.
Hold up.
Oh my
Shoaib,
goodness.
Shoaib, respectly.
Avery,
gotta
you're
let
going
me-
to a different topic.
No, I
You're
said
not
quote
listening
the
to
verse.
Bible.
They brought it up.
Wow,
guys
this
brought
is
it up.
crazy.
Bible. Where does the
Now,
Bible
David,
define
I'm off
these
topic.
sons?
Just okay.
I'm
I hate
off
to do this,
topic.
but just because
Yeah,
everybody's-
over and over
I-
again,
I
they
hate to
bring
do
up a
it, but
topic,
just
we
because
respond, and we're off topic.
We're off topic.
Once in a while, I got a quick jump in.
Yeah, good.
We might actually. It's an opportunity to go to Q&A, but I know that you guys still have some threads you might want to draw together.
Closing remarks?
gmail.com.
And feel free to keep kicking in the super chats. James deserves it.
Yep. Good stuff,
Kind of
James.
you.
Thanks for
30,
having
30
me.
second closing remarks while you get the super chat.
If you guys want 30
Okay.
seconds, I'm open to it. You guys want to? Okay. Let's see, we started, we'll do the same order we started with. So given that Muhammad and Shoaib, Shoaib, do you want to get us started? And then we'll move from right on the screen to left, namely Shoaib, Muhammad, then Avery, then David.
Yeah, I would like to say to the viewers, thank you also for being present. And this is, you can see what we presented forth, and let for those who have the intelligence and the logic to actually decipher and see for themselves which one is more sensible and which one is nonsensical, and what they have to pick up and follow as guidance. We are here to present the evidences we have. We are not saying we know more than them or they know more than us, but we have to present forth what the scriptures say so people can take up what they can benefit. And you can see what happened and how the game of semantics were played and so on. But I can say kudos to my brothers here, David Wood and God Logic, and also yourself, James Guns. Thank you for hosting us, and hopefully we get to meet again. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Muhammad.
Well, one thing is the debate topic was definitely interesting. I think there is a verse in the Quran that says that how people are witnessing upon themselves a disbelief, like committing disbelief. And our opponents, unfortunately, when they could prove that Jesus was not a submitter to the Father, that was something that was exciting for them. But this is not something that's going to be helpful for them on the day of judgment. The whole purpose of the religion, from Christians, Jewish, and the Muslim side, is for us to make this world a better place for everybody, for all of humanity. Yes, we are discussing things on how that's achieved, and that's achieved by completely submitting total mindset, mind power, everything back to the Lord Mighty. If the Christians refer to him as the Father, we refer to him as the God. The Jews refer to him as Yahweh, which in Arabic is Hayyul Qayyum, the everlasting creature, the everlasting being. So that is essentially why we're here, to make the world a better place. And Jesus taught us how to do that, just like how Muhammad taught us to do that, by submission.
Thank you. 30 seconds for Avery.
Yeah, guys, we saw a lot of flip-flopping. We saw a lot of contradictions. We saw a lot of misrepresentation. We had the Muslims admit openly that there's no way in the world that Allah is a father in any sense, and also made the statement that whoever claims that Jesus is the Son of God is not a submitter and a heretic. Yet they quoted verses that said, where Jesus himself says that he is the Son and God is the Father. So therefore, Jesus is not a Muslim. He's not a submitter. He's a heretic, according to these guys. They gave us the debate. It was over a long time ago.
Floor is yours, David.
All right. Well, pretty simple. According to the Quran, Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel. We know what that means. The Quran says we have it and requires us to judge by it and to live according to it. We saw where our Muslim friends go when they want to explain what the gospel teaches. And there's no passage they could go to where we can't just read in the same passage before it or after it and find that it doesn't line up with Islam. So if the Quran is sending us to the gospel and the gospel contradicts the Quran, I don't think we can say Jesus is a Muslim, because Islam is just an incoherent position.
Time. With that, I want to say thanks so much for watching, folks. Appreciate all of your questions. Thank you to the speakers. They're the lifeblood of the channel.